Good morning, folks. It's November 30th. It's almost Christmas, so time is flying, and I want to give you an update about what happened in court yesterday. The judge didn't appear, the defendants didn't appear, and I have sued Firetree for putting prisons in Connecticut without zoning law, against zoning law. So, for example, if there's a maximum limit of 12 people per house, then why are they putting 18 in a residential community? And there's laws about each person needing 250 square feet. And they built a psych ward, which we have pictures of, which we're not supposed to have, of course. So they built a psych ward. Bob Duff took campaign contributions from Robinson and Cole. Bribes, they are. Taxable bribes, which he didn't pay tax on. He ran it through his nonprofit. So when you look at the facts, folks, we've got to start adding state senators that violate RICO to claims. So after the court totally screwed us over and we have to file an 11-page motion to re-argue, which we did, thanks to EB, my man, EB, who shall remain nameless, I want to show you a site that is very informative, folks, and then I want to talk to you about the state's attorney, and I'll call it a day. So, if you wouldn't mind, here it is. Look on this site. It's called Vote Smart. I can show you the link right here. Vote, http justfacts.votesmart.org, and if you go there, now we did it. Now we got ourselves. Here we go. Here's Bob Duff's rating, 100% by Vote Smart. You can look and track his positions, whether he's conservative or super liberal. Super liberals get 100, okay? Let's talk to you about the other state officials. Sorry. That's a story we highlighted today about a abduction, which you should really look at, because you don't want that to happen, and we're not protected from that. Hold on. Here we go. You can look up any candidate that you like. Ann Dauphinais. She got a 17. Hats off to her. That's an excellent rating. The lower the rating, the better, in my opinion. You can look at all her votes and why she voted that way. You can look at some of our favorites. Who are they? Well, let's go back. Who's this? Hold on a second. The facts. Track a politician. State House. Here we go. Matt Ritter got 100, which means he's the Antichrist. Look at the political summary of Rajib Ali Brennan. 100. Connecticut League of Conservation Voters. Excuse me. It's a misnomer. Okay? Convicted felon rights they voted on. Limit the use of solitary confinement. Expands the definition of domestic violence. The bills are not written well. Here we go. Our legislature is wasting time expanding the types of bottles and cans that can be recycled. Folks, we've got problems voting to authorize student athletes to receive compensation. Like, hold on, look at this. He voted yay. Alleges racism is a public health crisis. Excuse me? 100% means that you're a pretty much brain dead, in my opinion. I'm being harsh because it's that important. Go back, look at the other candidates, and see the scores. Look at all the candidates. See the scores. Do I have to tell you about Jillian Gilchrist? I'm on her mailing list. Do you want to see what score she got? She got 100, I bet. 100 by the Connecticut League of Conservation Voters. Excuse me. They have absolutely no idea that the Long Island Sound is destroyed by Bob Duff, Jim Himes, and 5 congressmen who throw dredging material from 600 harbors off Norwalk's oyster beds. And I wouldn't eat them because they're contaminated with PCBs, folks. The mollusks suck in all the contaminants. The plastic attracts the PCBs, and the plastics get caught in the processing of the mollusks that suck in the water. Now keep in mind, Veterans Park in Norwalk has PCBs. Oyster Shell Park, PCBs. 40 properties on Meadow Street and Woodward that surround Manresa, which is a 125-acre coal ash dump, which is radioactive, surround the oyster beds. On the far side, they have all the dredging material of 600 boat clubs and municipalities. Mamaroneck dumps its contaminated waste off Norwalk's harbor. And Chuck Schumer's upset at Norwalk and Connecticut specifically for ruining the waterways in New York with contaminants. So here we go. There are no more lobsters being bred in Connecticut. They're walking down from Maine, folks. So I gave you a look at some of the candidates. Okay, let's go back. Okay, here we go. Anyone you want to research, go and find them. Here we go. There are some stellar candidates here. Some have, a lot of people have 50% rating. Let's look at Holly Cheeseman, who I happen to like. She's a class act, folks. 73. That's pretty good. She's not a total liberal. Doug Dubitsky's here. Who else? I'm not picking on these people, folks. Mark Anderson. He's a conservative. Don't even have to look. And where is... I was looking for Mike France, but I didn't see him. I think he's on page 1, maybe. I'm sure he's got a low rating of 17. That's my guess. Legislative officials. You want to look at some of these Democrats? Jason Rojas, are you ready? 87. Well, I'm pretty sure Mike France is on here. I saw it at one point. And I'm pretty sure he's a 17. But again, look at Matt Ritter. 100%. Matt Ritter was endorsed by Our Revolution. Wow. I'll tell you. So now the second part of the story today is what happened with the state's attorney yesterday. So I've been talking to the state's attorney for a long time because Tong's office won't prosecute Richard Colangelo for bribes, and they won't look into the bribe from Guy Fort that Colangelo arranged for. Colangelo has to write a letter as chief state's attorney asking Lamont for money to pay off a settlement claim. Now, when the settlement claim is to destroy taser evidence of a boy that was murdered, you have to wonder what Chief Winneman was thinking when he took early retirement after viewing the snuff video. Now, there's a woman in the state's attorney's office named Barbara Seacrest saying that there's nothing I can do about the Richard Colangelo bribe. Really, because when Colangelo negotiated with Guy Fort, who I believe they were in the same high school class, they're buddies from high school, I am told, haven't confirmed it, that when payments went through Trish Lindsay and Darnell Crossland, when you look at what happened with Darnell Crossland, Colangelo arrested Crossland. Crossland had a client named Stephen Barrier. Colangelo figured out how much money had to be paid to the NAACP and Black Lives Matter, who funds Act Blue and Richard Blumenthal. Okay, so what happened is, on this hand is the family who had a murder. 6 cops killed a kid, 21 falsified the evidence 4 hours later on video. We have the 1:30 a.m. video and we have the 5:30 a.m. video. Compare them both on cleanupconnecticut.org. A lot of the information's on there, folks. It's been visible since it occurred. People in the know what's going on. I told them where to look for the evidence, and they looked. Now, Paul Forensic, Chief Attorney of State's Attorney of Stamford, refuses to take or return my phone call or emails. McCosey's the inspector from the Cummings incident. Cummings was a child pedophile who had sex with 7 boys, and they let him off the hook, and we pay his pension, Thomas Cummings that is, who I went to high school with. So I know him, okay? I know him. The fact remains, I said to Barbara Seacrest, who's handling the Stephen Barrier murder, that I am going to make citizens arrests, and she advised me not to. So I'm about to name her in a Capias writ as a culpable, bribery, acknowledged state employee. And then we're going to start naming judges in cases to try to get them off the bench, folks. Judge Gennario had a hearing scheduled at 10:15 yesterday, didn't show. He told the defendants not to come. I'm the plaintiff. And I was told at the clerk's window that there's an administrative thing they did, dismissing a case without a hearing that was scheduled according to state law, and they corrupted the policy of the court. In other words, when a clerk dismisses a case and makes up a story and the judge doesn't appear, and the judge, in this case, Judge Gennario, Robert Gennario, I am told that he has an uncle named Monsignor William Gennario. You should make the connection if that's true. I'm not sure it's true. I'm trying to find out it's true. But he won't let me ask him any questions. I want to go to the court and say, Judge Gennario, do you have a conflict of interest? Oh, you certainly do. Well, why are you taking 100 fee waivers and denying the fee waivers? That's discrimination due to against a hardship. So when his colleague, Judge Adams, is a partner at Kelly Dry, stealing my cash stolen checks and cashing them, he has a colleague cashing stolen checks. Then you look at the facts and say, well, I filed 60 appeals. What happened to that? Never heard. I filed 30 judicial complaints. What happened with that? They can only find 3 of them now. So this calls into question a lot of people. When I have filed 30 complaints against attorneys that claim to be my attorney that I don't know, and they're commissioners of the court, you wonder why Mike Bowler has immunity. You wonder why Richard Colangelo has had immunity 6 times for cases that I filed against him. And then you turn around and figure out that Tong won't go after him. His office says go to the state's attorney. The state's attorney says there's nothing we can do about it. When in fact, there's everything they can do about it, because a state's attorney that takes bribes to cover up murder evidence violates the Constitution, folks. In the Constitution state. So why am I running? Because I don't want to have to do citizen's arrest on a state's attorney. I confronted Richard Colangelo during the Easton Police Commission meeting. Shaw came from there. Shaw knows about the murder. Shaw is covering up the murder with Colangelo, and they're sharing the money from the state. I understand that Lamont uses his wife to manage a pension fund for the state, and she gets millions of dollars in fees, and he doesn't see the conflict of interest. But what if I told you Valerie Jaddo sent letters to Richard Blumenthal about the murder of her son, and magically Richard Colangelo wrote a letter to Tong asking for $30 million, of which he wanted it payable to Guy Fort at the NAACP. Why? Because they went to high school together. Why? Because Richard had a deal to get $1.5 million of it, according to Stephen Barrier Sr., who was in on the meetings. And guess what? I'm told that his signatures were falsified. By him. By him. So hold on a second. A settlement offer was made and refused. The $30 million came. The father didn't accept it. And he starts talking about the state's attorney getting $1.5 million of the money designed for him. And I say, well, what about the priest who Winneman spoke to? Did he get a bribe? Believe so. Did Mayor Martin set this whole thing up? I believe so. And you have to wonder, when a boy is tased in the head, if you want that to happen to your child, take it out of the black-white context and put it into the person with rights, inalienable rights. You have a right not to be tortured. It's in the Geneva Convention. When a boy's tasered under the chin and in the temples, were they trying to wipe his memory? Wow, that's powerful. That's much stronger than George Floyd, who had 17 arrests. I'm talking about an innocent college kid. Forget what color he is. You have kids in college? Should I arrest State's Attorney Barbara Seacrest? So do me a favor. I'm going to put this on YouTube. And if you think I should arrest her, give it a thumbs up. And if you think I shouldn't, give it a thumbs down. I want to count the people voting. Use it as a voter system. If you want me to arrest her, I've already warned her. And the full force of the state will come down upon me if I do, though it is my constitutional right. If I file a Capias writ in the court and name her and the judge, the state is forced to arrest her. And if it doesn't, I'm empowered to. So, the question is, we're going down a tricky road. It's a lot of risk. I've received 189 threats already, folks. So, I've had 1,239 cashed stolen checks. The first check I gave to the police, and I gave it to more than 9 detectives, is for $250,000, which Kohalik, Chief of Police of Norwalk, is covering up. Now, the hearing yesterday was against Norwalk and Firetree. Firetree is prison release of Bob Duff, and Firetree's attorney was Ed Camacho, DNC chair of Norwalk, His girlfriend was placed on the board of Firetree. She accepts the McClutchy bribes during Common Council meetings and votes for the developer. So that's a bribe. Look at OxyContin, $112 million to the state of Connecticut in bribes. Well, I say that's murder. Getting paid to look the other way, to let 220 people die daily, is an abomination in Connecticut, in the Constitution state, and that's why I'm running for U.S. Senate. Now, I'm willing to risk all, okay? I'm all in. You have no idea. I'm stubborn when it comes to certain things. Did you know that Jonathan Wright had a court date yesterday at 10:15, same time as us in Stamford, but he was in New London. He was arrested by Lamont for accusing Lamont of treason on Twitter, and he said what the penalty for treason is. Do you know that he pled guilty? Why? Because he wants AR, or he wants anger management, not to do hard time, for an offense for charges that are false charges. He was falsely arrested, in my opinion. I've seen false arrests, folks. TJ Elgin, falsely arrested. Who else? Oh, quite a few people. I can probably name 50 false arrests in Connecticut. Guess who's on the list? Oh, you'll never guess. So, here we go. False arrest from the governor. The governor issued a bribe by executive order in secrecy. I'm at 21 minutes. So, I will count the thumbs up and the thumbs down. I need you to use YouTube as a voting mechanism, so I know whether or not you care enough and you are committed to correcting the constitutional violations of the Stamford Superior Court. Keep in mind, there hasn't been a jury trial since March 30th, since March of 2020. That's, 18 months without a jury trial? Really? You have a right to a jury. They can put it on Zoom. Yes, they can. They can separate them by 6 feet, wear masks, and give them a vaccination if you only accept vaccinated people. So if everyone's temperature is checked every day during the trial and they're sequestered in a hotel, there's no reason why there's 31 murder trials on hold in the Stamford Superior Court. No justice, no peace. That's what BLM says. No justice, no peace. BLM is right about that and wrong about everything else. The fact that our state's attorney paid a bribe to BLM, he doesn't know one thing I know. We have BLM members that are working in Stamford for the FBI. How do I know? Because she called me. Have a great day, folks. The evidence is compelling. And yes, I was asked this morning if I have intel on what's about to happen, and the answer is yes, but I can't share it. Have a great day. Thumbs up. Add State's Attorney to the Capias Writ. Thumbs down. Don't arrest her.